Okay, let me get all this going. Okay, so I'm reading in I'll Take My Stand by 12 Southerners, and I'm still in the introduction. Let me get where I started. Southerners have a file duty to discharge to their own section, but their cause is precarious and they must seek alliance with sympathetic communities everywhere. The members of the present group would be happy to be counted as members of the National Agrarian Movement. Agrarian, that just means farmers, basically, pretty much. So I'm not reading nothing that should get anybody upset and mad at me. This is just an agrarian or a farmer's book talking about the difference between what the South has to do and what the Northerners did. And you got to think this is 1930s because normally I read. It seems like lately I've been reading a lot of older books lately because there's this thing right now is all stuff, and I stopped right here because this intro had that little line, so that's why I'm blabbing off. Okay, so I'm reading this book. I'm not trying to get myself into trouble because, right now here in 2022, everybody's like up in the air. So, and some of these words are very big words. Even with me being a college graduate, I've been around, non non higher educated folks a lot. So, and this, you got to think it's been a while. Okay, and I like history, so this is just pretty much a history book. Okay, let me get back to the book. Um, and it starts: Industrialism is the economic organization of the collective American society. It means that decisions of the society to invest its economic resources in an applied science. But the word science is acquired has acquired a certain sustain stan stanitude. That's a weird word. Sanctitude. Stanitude. And you gotta think, some of these words are hard for me to speak, especially with this southern accent. Okay. It is out of order to quarrel with science in the abstract, or even with the applied sciences when their applications are made subject to criticism and intelligence. Oh, okay. So this is very, very high up uh, stuff. Okay. The capitalization of the applied sciences have now become extravagant and uncritical. It has enslaved our human um, energies to a degree now clearly felt to be burdensome. Huh? And this is 1930? Sounds more like today. The apologetics of industrialism is not do not like to meet the charge directly. Meet this charge directly. So they often, old book, take refuge in saying that they are devoted simply to science. They are really devoted to the applied sciences and the practical production. Therefore, it is necessary to employ a certain skepticism even at the expense of the cult of science, and to say, I am an It is Americanism, which looks innocent and disinterested, but really is not either. Hmm. Whew. Oh, so this is really a book that I might get in trouble for. Huh. Okay. Okay. Had to stop. Had the little wiggly lines stop. Okay. The contribution that science can make to a labor is to render it easy, but to help of a tool or progress, and to assure the labor of its perfect economic security he while he is engaged upon it. Then it can be performed with leisure and enjoyment. But the modern labor has not exactly received the benefit uh, under the industrial regime. Yeah, regime. Okay, his labor is hard. It is tempo is fierce, and his employment is unsecure. The first principle of good labor is that it must be effective, but the second principle it is that it must be enjoyed. Labor is one of the first items in the human career. It is the modest demand to ask that it may partake of happiness. And it's got the squiggly line again. The regular act of applied science is to introduce into labor a labor-saving device or machine. Whether this is a benefit Whether it is a benefit depends on how far it is advisable to save the labor. The philosophy of applied science in general quite sure that the saving of labor is pure gain, and that the more of it, the better. This is to assume that labor is an evil, that only the end of labor or the material product is good. On the assumption labor becomes merocracy, MERCACENARY, mercenary and servile. Yeah. And it is no wonder if any forms of modern labor are accepted without resentment though they are eventually brutalized. Like I said, it's got some big words in here, and I hadn't read big words in quite a while. And no, there wasn't a squiggly line. I stopped because it was brutalizing. Yeah, for sure. Okay, let's get back. That the labor is one of the happy functions of human life has been in effect abandoned and is practiced solely for its reward. Now it has the squiggly line. Even the apologists of industrialism have been obligated to admit that some economic evils follow in the wake of the machines. Okay, now I get the intro. It's talking about the machines, which is true. It's technology, and machines are basically technology. Okay, these are such as overproduction, underemployment, and the growing inequality in the distribution of wealth. But the remedies proposed by the apologists are always homeopathic, and that's HOM, home like house. Um, they expect the evils to disappear when we have bigger and better machines and more of them. Huh? Yeah, we're now almost 80 years from there. Almost not. Ooh, yeah, we're a long way from there. Okay. The remedial programs therefore took forward to more industrialism. Sometimes they see the system righting itself spontaneously and without direction. We are the optimists. Excuse me for a second. We are the optimists. Okay, sometimes they rely on the malevolent of capital or the utilitarian, militancy of labor to bring about the fair division of the spoils. They are cooperationists or socialists. Ah, starting to talk about this stuff. Well, yeah, gotta think. 1930s, about the time of this. So this is basically cooperationist, huh, or socialist. Okay, let me get back. And sometimes they expect to find super engineers in the shape of board of control, boards of control, who will adapt production to consumption and regulate prices and guarantee business against fluctuations. They are the chauvinists. So are chauvinists. Yeah, that's what it says. Soviet chauvinist. With respect to these last, it must be insisted that the true socialist or communist, if the term may be used here in the European sense, are the industrialists themselves. I'm laughing because this is really, really weird. I'm listening to the news and I'm reading this book and it's got all these words in it, and this is 1930s. Okay, let me get back. They would have the government set up an economic superorganization, which in turn would become the government. We therefore look upon the communist menace as a menace indeed, but not as a red one, because it is simply according to the blind drift of our industrialists, industrial development to expect America at last much the same economic system as the impose of violence upon Russia in 1917. Yeah, that's when. Yeah, 1917 is when the communists was taking over, and when they killed the czar and all. So this is kind of this introduction right here is kind of giving you a bit of history. And I was laughing because it said communist red wave and all this stuff that's going on in the news today. Um, my name is Loretta Nash. You are listening to the Loretta Nash Show. It's almost time for a break, and I'm at a squiggly line in this book called "I'll Take My Stand," by 12 Southerners. And I'll see you in a bit.